Okay, so there has been yet another notorious police shooting incident in the United States, this time in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, before I continue with some of the details of this, few things to say. I just have the basic details here. I don't have all the information, so that's important. This is still a developing story, but there is some information to go on. That will suffice for now, but I'm just putting out there that this is a developing story. Secondly, I take the view that each case should be dealt with on an individual basis, although I do believe America has a particular problem with this, but each case should be dealt with on its own merit, in its own context. So I'm just going to read out, this is from CNN. The victim in this case was a 40-year-old black man, Terrence Crutcher. And this is what the report says. On August the 16th, so this is actually some time back now, Oklahoma twins Terrence and Tiffany Crutcher celebrated their 40th birthday. Terrence, a God-loving father who sang at church every week, had enrolled at community college in Tulsa where he hoped to earn a degree. I'm going to show you Terrence recently texted his sister, "I'm going to make you all proud." He was never able to follow through on that promise. On the night of September the 16th, exactly 1 month later, that happened a few days ago, Crutcher's SUV broke down according to his family. After police responded to a 911 call about the vehicle, the 40-year-old black man found himself raising his hands high above his head. Moments later, Officer Betty Shelby fatally shot Crutcher. He was later found to be unarmed, according to authorities. The report goes on to say that this officer claimed that she was responding to a domestic violence situation and that Mr. Crutcher had ran away from the vehicle saying it's going to explode. But the bottom line here is he was unarmed. This is somewhat an unusual case because the police officer involved is a woman. That's unusual. Another thing that makes this case striking is that, unlike some other cases, this victim had absolutely no criminal background. So it's not as if he was sort of on a police database and they knew who he was or something like that. This was an innocent man killed in cold blood. Now, I don't believe in trial by media. I think all the evidence should be looked at. But I will say one thing. I think it is abhorrent that this officer is put on paid leave. Why? Because it demonstrates the absolute double standards that the police have when it comes to these sorts of cases. If anyone else was under suspicion of killing someone, they would be arrested. So why the hell is she put on death duty? I think that's something that just drives people crazy, and it's something the police just can't get into their heads. This is morally corrupt, as far as I'm concerned. She should be arrested on suspicion of manslaughter at the very least, because a man is dead. An unarmed man is dead. Whatever her rationale for doing that, those are the facts. So why is it because she's wearing a uniform she's above the law? I think that's what really drives people crazy. Now, I've been quite critical of the Black Lives Matter movement. I still am. I believe they've been far more divisive than productive. But some of the original arguments that they had are frankly vindicated by cases like this. There is a disproportionate number of black men being killed by the police, and far too many of them are being killed utterly unnecessarily. I get that in some cases there are armed suspects, with a criminal past. This is clearly not one of those cases, and it's there's just no rationale that can condone this. And what bothers me is there's always predictably some people that come onto these reports and try to condone it and say things like, "Oh well, if he just complied, then this wouldn't have happened." This thing about compliance, well, not long ago there was another case where the suspect did comply. They put their hands behind their back. They'd done everything they were asked to do. They still got shot. So when you have cops basically acting like they're gods on earth, compliance counts for nothing, because these are people who are basically trigger happy. And I know they have a difficult job, but American police are not the only police in the world that face dangers. But you don't see other police in other countries with this trigger happy shoot first, think later attitude. And it is happening all the time. I know there's risks involved, but that doesn't justify gunning down members of the public in cold blood because of a hunch that something might be wrong. I think this is out of control, and it's no good just saying, "Oh well, we face dangers every day," or they save lives or whatever. That doesn't justify what is going on here. And like I say, it should be case by case examples. And where Black Lives Matter are wrong is they don't have the same sort of outrage against black gangs. That's where they're wrong. But frankly, the initial anger that they felt over things like this is vindicated because it's outrageous, quite frankly. It's absolutely outrageous. And the worst aspect about it, in my opinion, is the double standards. Why has she not been arrested? Why? It basically sends out the message, if you're wearing a uniform, you're above the law. We're going to put you on leave. And then that indicates the potential for corruption because it's just an inside investigation. I don't know if the United States has an equivalent. In the UK, we have the Independent Police Complaints Commission. That means that police officers are accused of misconduct. This is an independent body that investigates that. I don't know if the US has an equivalent. Maybe someone watching this can enlighten me on that. But I think it's about high time they did, if that doesn't already exist. There needs to be an independent body that investigates police conduct because you simply cannot trust the police to clean up themselves. You can't trust them to do it. It's like the phone hacking thing. You can't trust the tabloids to clean up themselves. When you leave it to, put it this way, in authoritarian single party states, the reason you don't have transparency is because no one is held accountable because the ruling party controls the media. So if you leave it to Police Department A to investigate corruption at Police Department A, it simply cannot, they cannot be trusted to do it because there's too much pats on the back, there's too much internal fraternization. Um, so this is appalling. Like I say, this is a developing story. There may be more information that's revealed, but at present, I just cannot see any justification whatsoever for this man being killed, and it's a disgrace. And there should be absolutely enormous pressure put on that police department to come clean about what happened. And if it transpired that there was no immediate threat to the officer's life, then she should be arrested for manslaughter at the very least. This is also why police officers should have to wear body cams so that when cases like this happen, people can see both sides. And if officers are innocent, it would benefit them as well. So they've got nothing to fear from it. It's just outrageous. And this, frankly, I think America's a great country, but I do believe it's essentially a police state. So, in terms of democracy and freedom loving, America, frankly, cannot boast too hard about that when you have police that are basically acting in this way. America, to all extents and purposes, is a police state, and that's wrong.